Okay, hi there traders and welcome to Trade the Structure and the morning Jumpstart macro view. So we're just coming into the Asian market session. So we'll go over what happened into the end of last week in the US session. Key levels we're going to cover. Key levels just to watch out for some action where you'd want to be trading on our major markets that we look at anyway. And just to start with, remember that the US is closed tonight. It's a bank holiday tonight in the US. So if you think the action is quiet, that's why. So we may not get a lot of movement today, but we'll see. Because I have seen some headlines in centered around Russia invading Ukraine. So if that's the truth, then we're going to kick off some negative action today. It's not going to be too much fun, especially heading into European session and US. If the US is quiet, it could be that the light volume could really take those futures markets down. All right, so that's it to look out for. We've got some numbers out, obviously, in we've got European numbers, German flash manufacturing, PMI and flash services, which is a big one for Europe. And that's about it. There's nothing really out in Australia to worry about too much about. All right, so obviously what's concerning the markets is what's happening in Ukraine. So any headlines coming out there is what you've got to focus on. Just be wary, there's some rubbish headlines coming through. So it depends what you look at. I look at sort of the Reuters and Bloomberg stuff that's coming through, but there's a lot of rubbish on, say, if you're looking at Twitter headlines and all that sort of stuff coming out. It gives you a bit of a giggle, but if that's the truth that we are actually going to looking to invade, then I reckon it's going to kick off some very negative action. So this is the ASX. This is what we come into. What we closed at last night. So this is a 30-minute charts we're looking at. That's where we closed. Sorry, on Friday. Just coming to the start of the European session, you can see the market pushed down, found some support at 72.12, and then headed down again, and pretty much finished on its lows at 71.85. Now, if that's the case that we have got a few more issues to worry about, then we're looking down. I would say we're going to touch down at 71.40, potentially lower. Now, that is major corrective action. You've got the trend is up. It's changed. We've got a double top. So technically, it's not looking too crash hot. That could be, your first rollover. We get the lower high coming to play, a major lower high, and we're starting to roll over again. So I'll be looking for more of a major short on that one. I just want to see something a bit clearer. I don't want to see this sort of grind down and then we start to grind back up and things like that. I want to see a spike down, see what happens on the grind up. So I'm always looking for in a market, if it can grind, if it slams down, if you're looking for a short, slams down and it starts to grind back up, that's no conviction in buying. And then and previously we had conviction in selling, and then you look for that acceleration to the downside again. So, and it's the reverse on the upside. You get these sort of grind back, these grindy pullbacks like this. You got pop up here, bit of a grind, and you're looking for another pop up, an acceleration. So when you start getting the acceleration, you know which way the majority of people are placed. Look at the Asian markets. So we've got this is the Hang Seng. Hang Seng definitely looks like it's rolling over to me. You've got this zone through here, 25,100 is obviously, we popped up there, failed off that level, come back up, so that's a double top as well. We call it an RTF, but double top if you want to know that. 25,100 is a key level. We've pushed down, we've found some support. Just found it lifted off around that 24,250 mark, and we've got a lower high coming to play at 24,805. So that could easily drive down as well. Okay, we drive down off that 24,250, but the Hang Seng likes to play games. If it wants to go down, it'll spend most of the session getting buoyed. The earlier session is in two parts, don't forget. Earlier session, it can sort of flush down and then grind all the way back up again and then get sold off in the second session when the index closes. And then obviously you're following the US and European markets after that. But for sure, it's looking a bit weak. The market's powering down. I reckon the first thing's going to come under fire is at 23,945. Then you've got these lows that potentially come under fire after that. And that's probably somewhere around 23,265, so a long way off, but still, once the market gets going, it starts to get a bit ahead of steam on the downside, it could easily get there. Japan, Nikkei for me, same sort of scenario. Longer term, I think I've sent out alerts for this and blog posts for this. The Nikkei looks weak on a daily basis. You had an uptrend, major double top, I think it is, and it's starting to fail, a bit like the ASX did when we were trading on the short side not long ago. All right, so that's, to me, move down. The secondary leg down could easily take you into that 26,330 area. This may find some bit of love on the open. You may find that the market wants to squeeze out some of these sellers. Okay, some of these sellers through here, squeeze them out, retest maybe this 145 area and then fail, or it could just jam straight down, okay, and not look back. But for me, I would be surprised if this holds up at 26,800 or even these, if we get a flush down here, I would be surprised if that holds up today. Okay, so what I'm looking for more is that flush of those levels and then roll over. Okay, over to the US market, all one-way action at the moment. I think your major leg down we had previously. We had a big bounce, retest failed, double top off here. We've spoken that many times. First leg down, secondary leg down takes you at least to a flush of this level, 33,550. Now, it'll be interesting to see whether if we do sort of pop up here, it wants to squeeze some out, but don't forget the US is closed tonight. So this is not really US traders, okay? They're on the long weekend. It'd be more just following the European markets, following Asian markets. So, the US is not going to lead anyone today. Maybe come into the European session. Maybe in the European session you get a bit of overnight action, but it's just sort of your European traders flushing around that. They'd be more inclined to move around the European markets as opposed to the Dow. So yeah, this one here, either way, longer term, it's pressing down. You're holding lower highs. You're holding lower highs. We hold this 34,955, say 35 area, down 34,590, and now we're breaking through that 34,305 and heading south on its way, I think, to 33,550. US Tech, Nasdaq, heading south as well. Now we had this little inside level hold at 14,640. Okay, that's pressed down, but more lower highs in play. So that lower high there, we're talking about this contractive phase not long ago. I think it was on Friday. We might have been talking about that. The market's bounced off there. Okay, it could be the fact that we're going to head back up to these highs, but I think there's too much weight on this market just at this stage. And I think that weight is obviously shown, and it's held that lower high and broken down, 13,880. Now, do we get through there? Look, I don't know, but I think if the markets kick off negative on the open today, then yeah, we're going to blast through that level. Okay, coming to probably not obviously tonight. We're probably chopping around there. This might get taken down as a CFD price because it's got to be hedged into some market. But considering I think the futures may be open, but it's the indexes. So the major index stock market's not going to be open. So the futures market may be open here. Give people a chance to hedge it if it's heading south. But we'll just wait and see how that kicks off, especially the Asian market session. Get a bit of a read there, see what happens coming to the European markets. US 500, don't really look at this as much because I think the US 500 is getting pushed around by the Nasdaq anyway. So I'm sort of more focused on the Nasdaq and the Dow. But you can see the action there is not too pretty. Okay, you've got big leg down, big bounce. They try to keep it up, double top, retest fail through this zone of 45,900. Start to fail off that. As soon as you start to fail off that, that's the line in the sand. Okay, and if we can't hold this 44.80, then you're going to be concerned. And we didn't hold it. We blasted through. We've come back up, retested. So that's heading down. Okay, it's heading down to 42.96, potentially through. So we've got to see. We've got to just watch what buyers' reactions are down at this zone. Okay, the 42.95 area or 4,300. So it's only 50 or 60. That could be done in a point. 50, 60 points could be done in a night, but it is negative. And if that for me could easily drive through that level and continue to trend down. Look at some currencies. Aussie dollar, there's been a bit of a safe haven over into US dollar. If it's going to kick off, like the news is suggesting, now I can't remember if it was a Bloomberg report, which has got a bit more weight to it, or whether it was something else I saw. A lot of stuff I brush aside because it's just rubbish. They're just looking for headlines. I mean, Bloomberg and Reuters do as well. Every news article is looking for headlines, looking for you to react to that fear of the headlines, but they got a bit more weight behind them, okay, and a bit more realistic. Usually they don't fluff around too much, but if that's the truth, then negativity is going to be there. There's going to be some safe haven buying into the US dollar. Gold's going to pop up as well. You'd expect that to be supported. So you'd expect these currencies, anything linked to the US dollar at the moment, gets sold off. Aussie's not going to be a safe haven. The yen is a safe haven. Swiss, not the Aussie. Okay, so that there, 72.15, that good little flush there, I would expect, looking at this price action, this toppy kind of price action through 71.80, I'd expect that to be heavy today. Okay, we could be charging down to this level here, 71.55, just test into that. If it gets a bit of out of hand, then you're looking down to 71.10. Euro, you can see that's getting heavy. We've got big resistance zone at 114.80. That failed, big flush into that area, took out the stops and then failed straight after that. Okay, so if you don't believe in flushes and stop hunts, that's a perfect example just there. Okay, just that lift through there, lift through an obvious zone, obviously key zone. You can see that was getting buoyed in there, so that's dragging some buyers. They bought it, on the break up there, longer term, and their stops would have probably been just below this zone in here, and they got stopped out. Okay, and that was the juice to push it down. So we pushed down that 112.80. We bounced. Now we're finding it's heavier again at 113.94. So I'm expecting those lower highs are going to start to push down to that 112.80 zone. All right. So it's just obviously what happens to the US dollar today. Pound, much of the same. Much of that same sort of action. We're heavy at that 136.39 area. Big move down. it tried to go up. You can see this chop around here. Sort of all this chop in here was trying to get supported. Then we pushed up there. I'm expecting a lot of these buyers through here and up here are going to get squeezed. Okay, so this zone through here is more rangy. All right, you've got, if we can make that a little bit bigger, more of a kind of a rangy action through there. All right. The fact that we range through there, there's a lot of buyers buying off the bottom at the end, maybe selling at the top. But we've had this bit of a pop up through this level, sort of spike through here. You can see the sort of pop. Now we're starting to head south. So the fact that we took out that 136.02 area, that's the anchor to the uptrend. This leg up here, now either you're going to be range trading from the top to the bottom. We're going down to this bid zone, or maybe extend down to 134.95. But if the US dollar, like I said, gets a bit of out of hand on the upside because of some safe havens, then this could really start to power on the downside. Okay, US yen, you can see it's coming under pressure. Now, the buying into the US dollar, it's offset by obviously some more safe haven buying into the yen. So that's why you're seeing this grind down. But if it really starts to power up in the US dollar, it just depends. It depends how they sort of match off each other. But for me, it's getting held down at 115.28 for now. We've got a zone here that's reacted, buyers reacted up and off that area previously. You've even got some little extension areas through here, which is traded into, and it's reacted up and off. Now it's broken through. I'll probably draw that in a different light there. You want to tick that little anchor level there, which I like to look at. It broke up and through that, so maybe we're coming back to retest this 114.91, and we start to fail. The buyers start stepping again. We sellers fail off that level, and it bounces straight back up again. Just wait and see how the open, normally in the Asian market session, you get that sort of first heads up. If we start to hold a higher low in here, great. I'll be looking for something like that. Okay. If not, if we don't hold that higher low, we keep driving down. Yeah, sellers. Okay, so you just got to watch that shorter term charts there. Gold. Now, like I said before, gold could get a bid if there's truth to the rumor that they're invading Ukraine. Then you would expect that to start jamming up through 1899, 1910, so on, start to trade into that level. If it's not, we could easily fail off that 1899 area. All right, that's potential for a little minor double top there, and you get a bigger move down, as in that's the move down, and then we extend that. We might take out this low. We might even extend back in 1873. But you sort of look at that volatility level at 1830, 1888, 1883. Okay, first move down, second move down, and we start to find a base. But again, it's just going to depend on how this market's taking any of these rumors, or if they become fact, if they really are true. All right, oil. That was a close on the 19th, so it's not open yet. It could all kick off very soon, quite hard. If that's the case, then you would expect oil to start popping up and you start trading through that 93.25, 95, and so on. Okay, that's the way. Any news about invading Ukraine, anything's tensions kicking off a lot harder there. Oil's gone with it, and you've got gold going, and you've got copper getting smacked down again. Okay, so if that's the case, that's the truth. Then yeah, we're going to head back up. All right, we've got a nice little base. It's bounced off. You can see this push into that base there, 88.60, and it's reacted up and off that level. So really, if it depends if it's a hard spike. If you get this sort of hard spike there, I don't want to be trading that. If we can draw that up, I don't want to be trading that because I could think that could easily flush down here, and then I'll be looking for something that's more substantial on the upside. Right, something like a higher low to play out. All right, so if you get that spike there, wait for it to flush out some of these longs, and if it keeps jamming up, then so be it. You don't want to be chasing the market. You don't want to be chasing your tail. That's what plays out. So if we find it's pushed up to 93.25, then you get a bit of short-term profit taking off this leg up, then looking for that higher low. All right, that's your major higher low, and that's sort of a minor. So you got to remember that's your one price action pullback, secondary, and this is kind of your minor higher low, all within that. If that makes sense. That's the way I break down markets all the time. All right, so that's what we're looking at. Copper looks like it's going to fail off that level there, 164. This level through here, this resistance zone, looks like it's going to fail off there. Now, again, truth to the rumor, I would expect that to start pressing down, start to trade through this level here, potentially in the next zone, really pushing down to 97.50. All right, start to jam into that level there. Let's get off finish off on Bitcoin and Ether. Okay, so Bitcoin, these markets had they powered down over the weekend, so that they're going to open weaker. Bitcoin is going to open down. It's not open just yet on the CFD, but or the other markets, just the overnight markets. So over the weekend markets are open. I'd expect that to open somewhere around at 38,850 now. I'm just going to quickly look at that to see if it's reacting to any of these news, see if we're getting anything at all. Look, it's holding these lows. So at the moment, it's 38,250. Okay, so it's somewhere just below this level. So it could be going to test into that level on the open, flushing that level, and then we'll see what happens. Okay, we'll just wait to see if it's either going to hold us. So you're going to get two things. It's either going to smack into that level and you're going to get this retest and holding and then bang down, or it's going to bounce off that level a bit more substantially. So you're looking for a bigger bounce. You get that sort of bounce, then maybe we get something like that for a squeeze if I can draw it properly. Okay, something like that. But for now, I'm sort of biased. If things start to open up on the downside for indices, then Bitcoin's going to go down. Okay, that's the way it's been reacting lately, and that's why it's going to react. I think if that plays out, more selling pressure, more a bit of an unwind into stock markets, you're going to get an unwind into Bitcoin, Ether. This level here, it's broken down through there. Now Ethereum is, just get that up. It's 25, say 2600. So it's going to be somewhere, mid-range here. So I don't want to be trading mid-range. I'm not going to just buy on that dip there because it could dip further. I don't want to be selling there because it could easily flush up here, squeeze out some shorts from the open. So it's going to gap down there for you. It could sort of jam up, squeeze some shorts, and then roll over. Okay, so getting short there, you just got to either risk that it's just going to head straight down. Yeah, fine. But that's, like I said, it's not a good way to trade. Okay, you've got to trade off off levels and off lower highs, high lows, all that sort of stuff. Okay, off confirmation basically. But I would expect that could open weaker and it could really push down to 25.90 and then wait to see what happens from buyers. Maybe they lift it back up, maybe they let it flush and then lift it, or maybe it's just going to go straight through. We get a lower high retest and then we go even lower. All right. So that's pretty much it. That's all I want to cover. So yeah, just be careful on the open today. We'll see how the ASX goes when it opens. Enough stuff we just chatted through there, some levels, some key levels to look at, and how to be trading around those key levels. And just remember, keep an eye out for those news to see what's actually happening there, whether there's some truth to it, whether there is a bit of going to be some negativity on the open, a bit of fear driving the market lower, or whether people don't really care anymore. It could be the case. Okay, now it's happened. Rumors become fact. I wouldn't expect anything to kick off too hard. Maybe that sort of scenario, and people start to buy in those dips. Right. Either way, thank you very much for joining us, guys. I hope you enjoyed that, and we'll speak to you again tomorrow. Cheers, bye.